Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here, and it's time for another edition of the YouOrns Monday Focus. Well, this is the first Monday Focus of the season. Watford will be visiting Ewood Park after, of course, the weekend's postponement of the home match against Reading to, of course, pay respects to Queen Elizabeth II, who passed away last week. And football is back, and you would have thought that maybe a few extra days would have given Watford the injury recovery to some of the players that they would need. But as we are learning, there are still Watford players who are going to be out for the game tomorrow to the trip to Lancashire against Blackburn. Well, there'll still be Hassan Kamara, who is not likely to be available for the game tomorrow. That is what is being reported. He is going to be out in all likelihood. And we're also looking to see whether or not Ken Sema will make a return. He's nursing a groin injury. He's actually been playing with that groin strain injury for a number of games now, one or two games now. He did so in the previous game at Rotherham. And people, of course, within the Watford camp hoping, as am I and as are you, that Ken Sema returns. As Watford fans would like to see that. And if Ken Sema can't make it, expect to see a shift, of course, in that area of wing back on that left side. With Camera out, it's probably going to be someone like a Joseph Hungbo who might make that start on that side. Gaspar might be the one that starts on the right side on the wing back side. But I would say that Jeremy Ngakia, who we're learning now seem to be available for this game after back injury, would probably start on the right side. I think that would be sensible, and then bring Gaspar in to the later stages of the game to try to close things down, depending on what the scoreline is at that point. I'd also expect to see that you're going to have a back three. Rob Edwards is likely to go to the 3-5-2 format in this one. That means Courtney House starting on the left side. You'd have Sierralta. I would expect Sierralta to be coming back in after missing out against Rotherham. And then I think you'll probably have Craig Cathcart on that right side. So what you'd have either side of Sierralta are two experienced players. And I think that's what Rob Edwards will go with tomorrow night for his starting back three. And then, of course, you've got the midfield. And I think this is the kind of game where you'll have Chowdhury, you'll have Kayembe, but I think Esprit is going to be a key man in this game. Now, I've been saying that for a game or two now, but this particular game against a Blackburn side who do love to run into tight spaces going forward, they've got some very tricky and dangerous players to deal with. Brereton Diaz, you've got him, you've got Tyrese Dolan. He is very good in tight areas. And also, you have the likes of Bradley Dack. These guys have pace and they can run really quickly in tight areas of the pitch. They can run into space, but they are very good and very well controlled when they are running on the ball in very small and tight spaces on the pitch. And they're at home at Ewood Park, where they lost their last game about almost 10 days ago now to Bristol City. But I think that Blackburn can do a lot of damage in tight areas of the pitch. You would think that they would need a lot more space, but when they come to attack, they're very centrally focused. They rely on a lot of balls coming in straight from the left side, usually, and they are able to really execute well. So I would be watching out very much for the likes of a Bradley Dack, the likes of a Ben Brereton Diaz, and the likes of a Tyrese Dolan. All of those players can hurt you in very tight areas of the pitch. So that Watford defense is going to have to be very, very key in this contest, as always. And I think that middle three, if you have that three at the back of Courtney House, of Craig Cathcart, and have Sierralta in the middle there to repel the danger, I think will be important. You'll also need some defensive help. So all your players have to come back and help. If you're a Watford player, you have to come back and help. You have to do the dirty work. Now, Ismail Assar, I guess he will start. I expect he will start. There was no news on him injury wise, so I'm thinking that he'll start the game. And I think that the front two, probably in this case, if you're looking at who the front two are likely to be, I think Bio will remain in that front two. And I expect that João Pedro will be in that front two as well. Um, and Saar might be playing just behind them, or you might have Saar partnering, although Saar's not a prototypical striker. So I would expect that you'd have Bio and João Pedro, and then Saar coming in just behind them. He might stretch out to the right. It's going to be 3-5-2 though, but I can see some kind of shifts here or there, especially with a thin squad. Rob may change the formation, but I think by and large he's going to stick with the bread and butter 3-5-2 that he has. I think that Esprit will play a role, however, whether he's going to go as an attacking midfielder, which he's likely to be in this game. I think what he can do is bring the long balls in that can catch the Blackburn defense off guard. If you can get in behind Blackburn, I think one of the keys to doing so is bringing those long balls behind the defense, having a bit of skill and technical ability to do that and catch that defense off guard and run into spaces and areas of the pitch that unsettle that Blackburn defense. And I think that Espria can play a role with some good passing. If he passes the ball well, I think he can manifest a lot of danger for Blackburn, against Blackburn, I should say, for Watford. Espria, though, has to play the ball a lot better than he has the last couple of games. He has to show the form that he had at Preston for Watford if he is able to have some mark in this game. He's kind of drifted out of the games a bit, and hopefully the rest of these last 10 days or so will give him that confidence to come back and do the kinds of things he needs to do. He's played a lot of football. He's just 18 years old, but I do think that Aspria can make his mark in this game. And if you can bring those long balls in and have that timely passing, that will be key. I think Watford's passing will have to be better. I think what they'll have to do against Blackburn to be effective is to move the ball quickly and also to occasionally, when needed, slow the tempo down. But I think Watford will have to do two other things that are going to be very important. A, avoid conceding early in games. Watford have conceded early and have conceded first in the last three consecutive championship games. And they're going to have to avoid that if they are to have success. Against Queen's Park Rangers, they conceded first. Against, of course, Rotherham, they conceded first. And they also conceded first before that against Middlesbrough. So Watford will want to avoid that, and especially avoid conceding in the first 4 minutes of games. In the last games against Rotherham and against Middlesbrough, they conceded in the first 4 minutes. Middlesbrough in 4 minutes, and then Rotherham in just 2 minutes. So the defense needs to be switched on at all times here in this contest against a very dangerous Blackburn side, who are sitting currently at this point seventh in the table. They were taking on Watford, who are currently sitting sixth in the table. Again, Blackburn coming off the 3-2 home loss to Bristol City. Watford coming off the 1-1 draw away from home against Rotherham. So it should be a fine contest between these two. The crowd will be really on top of the action, and Watford will have to deal with Blackburn's pace and relentlessness to start off with. The very important thing Watford have to do is avoid conceding in these games, but especially avoid conceding in the first couple of minutes. That always makes it harder for you to come back into a game. Although Watford have managed to do that in most of these games so far, Watford, I think, need a better away performance overall. They've not really played well in most of these games this season, but if Watford can put together a better first half of a performance and then stitch that together in the second half on the road, I think Watford could have a very good evening at Ewood Park. I think at the end of the day, though, I can see this ending up as an all-square affair. I think Blackburn will bounce back from their poor game against Bristol City. And I think Watford having these 9 or 10 days off, while beneficial to them, might disrupt the kind of rhythm they have. So we'll see what happens. But I think Watford's key is to defend better. And I think they're going to end up with a draw here, and it will be another draw away from home. That's my prediction, but we'll see what happens. Of course, if Watford win the game, I'd be even happier with that, of course. This has been the YouOrns Monday Focus.